Live and Learn. Yulia and Ina with you here. Today, we continue the conversation and invite you to join the discussion at facebook.com/Live and Learn podcast.
Hi, hello. Live and Learn is on air today.
So, what is in the air this week?
Love is in there. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know what's in the air. Summer is in the air. Basically, the vacation time is in the air.
Oh, it doesn't seem like vacation time. You know, I've got 36, 37 planned meetings scheduled on Calendly.
Oh my gosh.
Till the end of July, actually. And then there are others that are not scheduled through Calendly, but there are some that will be scheduled. There are some that are scheduled as a recurring meeting, and so they're not scheduled anymore on Calendly. And it's something I've got on my calendar. And when I saw a couple of days ago, when I saw 36 and then 37 of them scheduled that you can see on your dashboard and Calendly, it was like, really, guys, don't you know it's summer? And these are lessons planned till the end of July. There are people who still want to learn in summer.
For me, the end of June is always has been. No, it's not has been. It used to be the vacation time, because when we work together, or not only together in the universities, you always have these final exams, then the convocation, inauguration, the students, diploma works, bachelor degrees, master degrees, all this beautiful vivas, and then you sign up all these diplomas, and then you say, let's call it a year. Now I have my vacation time. And for me, this vacation time back in Ukraine, it was 56 days of vacation, which you have to take unless you're working for the student's application for the next year. And for me, they were always about having a week or so, or maybe 10 days of total reboot. And then I would jump into learning something new language, new skill. 1 year I started learning everything about wine. Another year I started learning everything about tea. Another year I started learning Italian. Another year I went to practice French. Another year, 5 years ago, I had my PhD, so I had to reboot the whole summer after. And then the relocation to Kyiv. And like, for me, each summer it's such a complete change of the mindset. What's the summer for you?
Well, the summer for me has always been, since I was a child, has always been vacation time, because my mom is a teacher and one of my grandmas was a teacher. So it's like you always know that summer is vacation time. And all the family is trying to do something special to relax and to let you have some rest from school and studies in summer. Then I remember I always wanted to read extra in summer, and these were special moments of choosing which books to take with you when you go on holiday, when you go somewhere else, or knowing beforehand if there is a library there, if it's good, if it's well equipped, whether you can take a book and read there, not to carry heavy things with you. Later on, when I started working, well, I also became a teacher, and so not much changed. It was still that summer vacation, as you said, 56 days or 48 working days, depends. In summer, that you can use, the period of time that you can use actually to relax, to recharge your energy and be ready for the new school year or academic year to start. Then there was a period of time when I went to Italy every summer, And even with the currency exchange that used to be quite good and comfortable for me, I used to take 2 months out of work, like I didn't work at all. July and August were my free months. It was so long ago. And still I remember a couple of years when I just relaxed in summer. Well, relaxed. I learned Italian. I had an intensive course, but I did not teach. That's what I mean. Luckily, I have the work that I like, so I can continue.
The work that you like is always a beautiful word to describe a vocation. And it's
Exactly.
such a funny wordplay here. You don't need to take a vacation out of a vocation.
That's so much true. And I like the word actually because to me it's special because it comes from Latin and then later Italian voce, which is voice. So that's the voice calling, and in English it's a calling. And if you do something that is your calling, you're doing the right thing and you don't need a vacation.
No, we do need a vacation. We need some sea, we need some pizza, pasta, gelato, some friends, and just take everything out of mind. But then there is no this heavy shoulders like finally. Yeah, so we can be still waiting for it. But still it is such an interesting thing that after a couple of days, I don't know, depending on how heavy the end of the year was, it's still like a week, 10 days, and then I get a little bit bored of not doing something. So that's why I keep on learning everything I can. However, some of the students say that they find it very difficult to learn during the summer.
Is it connected, you believe, with the fact that people are used to take a vacation in summer, not to study? Like you finish your academic year in May or June, and then you get back in September. It's the famous back to school.
This is the people who are deeply connected with the education process, but not necessarily all the others do. So, for example, the bank workers, for them it doesn't matter.
They all had 10 years, 11 years, 12 years at school, 4 to 6 years at university.
And then you become an adult and you crave for those moments of idleness and doing nothing and learning and running in the suburbs.
And still you've got this habit, that's what I want to say. You develop a habit of not studying in summer in all those years of school and university.
I don't. Well, I wouldn't say that. I don't know. I just had a talk last week with one of my students, clients, you call it. That's a seasoned professional on the C-level, and she mentioned that it is so difficult for her to take extra hours after the work. I can understand that. I would probably as well want to take the moment and relax. But if you work full time and then you have your own motivation to study extra, so that's a priority question now. Time and then living is easy. Da da dum, da 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 dum.
Yes, summer is in the air, and anyway, it doesn't really feel like a holiday, like a vacation, because there is still plenty of work. And yet I've decided that I need to take a break, and I even decided when I'm going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be the last week of August and the first week of September, which I somehow thought is for me the best time to take a break. The end of August, like people are still on vacation and probably not so eager to learn. And the first week of September, when there is this famous feeling of being back to school, coming back to school, preparations, buying new pencils, new stuff for school. And so I think maybe it's the best time for me to take this break and then to start a new academic year fresh and relaxed. What do you think?
It's interesting that here in Germany, the new year starts the 15th of October, I believe.
Different for different regions.
Exactly. And therefore, the universities keep on telling that up to the 14th of October, we may have as much holiday or as many days of the holiday, but since then they expect the teachers to be online. So I was asked like, we want to start 1 week before the semester. So if you're planning the vacation time, will you be able to be online maybe? So it's nice that they are thinking about it already. And one more thing is the 1st of September here is not at all the very same thing as back in Ukraine, because this is the time where all the school start in one day. All the teachers, all the students, all the parents know that this is a break-even point, you know. Before it was summer, since now it is the school time. Actually, I wanted to ask you if it is the same thing for homeschooling. Do you have a specific time when the school starts? Do you know?
In my experience, when my son was homeschooled, we just had the same semester's terms as an offline school had. Because anyway, the curriculum is organized by an offline school. It is, I believe, the same for online schools that help or assist homeschoolers. There is a curriculum that is based on the amount of weeks in a traditional academic year or school year. That's my experience.
People are actually taking breaks during the summertime, and during the summer it's much more difficult to study because you need much more motivation to go after the work to the business English class rather than to have a mojito and go to the beach, even if you are in the city.
Exactly so. You lack this motivation that you normally had in colder seasons, first of all. And it's so hard to organize your learning process when it's hot outside. I remember living in the south of Italy and both learning and trying to work in summer, especially in August, with the temperatures going up to 40 degrees Celsius. And like, it's so hard. Even if you like learning, even if you like teaching, it's so hard to pull yourself together and do the job.
And it refers to one of the episodes we had already on planning and procrastination. And I already expect all the students saying, oh, I'm procrastinating so much in English. I cannot book the proper time slot because I am lazy, or I don't have time, or I just don't want to. My answer to them is normally, enjoy your time. Please do. If you need some kind of rest, if you need to go to the beach, if you need to go to play beach volleyball, I don't know, to have your time with your friends and, I don't know, a glass of rosé or a lemonade or cold brew tea, who knows? Just use this opportunity, grasp your summer, seize the day.
Carpe diem.
Exactly. But they keep on asking, so what should I do if I go to the seaside and I don't want to lose my pace in learning English or communication or whatever? What are your recommendations to your students when they go to the summer vacation?
It's not by chance, maybe, that we think alike. We're great minds. And I also say to my students to enjoy. Are you going on holiday? Enjoy the time. Then if you also enjoy learning, you will sure do that during your holiday time. And then if this is something that you really like doing. If you don't say to yourself, oh, I have to revise something, oh, I have to learn something. No, that doesn't work. Even less on vacation. But if it's the thing you really enjoy doing, you'll enjoy your holiday, you'll grasp every day and moment of your leisure time, and you'll enjoy learning as well. So then when it comes to more tips, I advise to find the best way and the most enjoyable way to practice something. Let's take listening, for instance. Most people say they are ready to listen to something without much hard work while learning. So they're ready to listen to some songs, to listen to audiobooks if they're prepared. I also recommend listening to podcasts in the language they're learning. It's a great format. It's usually not too long. It's not an audiobook that you need to follow from the beginning to end, which may be hard, but it requires more time. Start with a podcast, which is a shorter option. Start with a song, which is an even shorter option. And choose something that you can listen to when you're driving, when you're lying on the beach, when you're on a run. Whatever activity you're enjoying on holiday can be accompanied by listening to something in the language you're learning. What's your tip to listening?
I have a couple of the approaches how I teach my students to do the listening. And I normally say that if you are doing some kind of a book exercise where you have pre-listening tasks, while listening tasks, and after listening tasks, which is a normal methodological approach. And then I recommend, like, when you've done all the necessary exercises, whatever, dig down to the audio, listen it again a couple of times, and try to think how many phrases do you feel comfortable with listening, and how many phrases would you be comfortable with speaking out, like pronouncing them, putting them together into the sentence. This is what I really expect my students to do, to be doing at home, so that they can practice the phrases of the listening at home and practice them speaking up during the class. However, this is not exactly the case for the, having a relaxing time and listen to a podcast. Here I would probably recommend to have the very same approach as to the reading. When you read a page of the text, whatever book you chose, it should be no more than 15% of the text that you find a bit, not difficult, a bit challenging. So I always recommend to read a level lower than you are, if it is a leveled books, like which are written according to the level, or if this is unabridged books, just like the original ones, just go to the market, when you can buy a book for €1 for, like, in, I don't know, a bookstore. Open each of the book and read half a page. If you can read half a page without problem, or like struggling or that, just try to see if the language you enjoy, and then go and see if the topic is something that you like. So one of the biggest and the most compelling things I've read on the beach, or somewhere out there, were the easiest books on meditation, mindfulness, some yoga, some kind of wisdom thoughts, something that you don't really need to follow page by page. You can open up and close it anytime you want, like That's my attitude. I don't need a plot when I go outside to, have a book with me, lying next to the river or next to the sea or something. I don't need this. Maybe at home in the winter time I would enjoy it, but there I do enjoy like very short art chapters, some kind of the thoughts that could help me appreciate life, appreciate happiness, appreciate relationships, so on, because it helps to enjoy the moment, because it helps to say, oh my gosh, the sun is beautiful, the sky is bright, the sea is amazing, I have such a fantastic feeling, the book is awesome, I'm reading it in English, I'm enjoying every phrase of it, every interesting piece of the language. What a beautiful life. So I just think that that should be the primary focus. If you can enjoy the book, that means you are doing good to your second language or third language, whatever. If you are struggling through it, that means that you are not enjoying it as much as you could have with the dictionary, with vocabulary, or with the kind of the summarizing or something. So in my understanding, it's always nice to read a paragraph or two and then put a bookmark there and go dive into the sea or into the river and go for a beach volleyball, get another mojito or something while thinking about something really pleasant. That's my recommendation.
Even without knowing, I followed your recommendation, but it was not about reading a book. It was about learning conjunctive mood in Italian on the beach. So I just went through the conjugations and had a swim. Meanwhile, thinking over those endings, forms, etc., I came back to look up and see whether I got them right. I revised and had another swim. It worked perfectly. The conjunctive mood in Italian is one of my most favorite things ever in the Italian grammar. Call me a nerd, but it was fun.
Nerd. Yeah.
Really, because this is something that, you can have. What I'm saying is that you can enjoy anything. It can be grammar, it can be a book on meditation, it can be anything you enjoy doing about learning the language. And then this experience that is enjoyable is most useful. And this is something that remains after your holiday is over. And then you look back and you can say to yourself, wow, I've enjoyed my summer. I've really enjoyed my holiday. And I've got something that I brought back with me. New experience, emotionally charged, and something that you can keep forever, or at least for long.
You know what it made me think of the reading lists in school. Do you remember that long reading list with the topics which are sometimes about the war, sometimes about the famine, sometimes about the historical changes, sometimes about, I don't know, medieval situations?
I hardly ever read anything from those lists. Even if I read a lot in summer,
Exactly.
it was always something else.
Exactly, that's my point. When you are enjoying your time under a tree, in a hammock, I don't know, somewhere, you've been waiting for this moment half of the whole winter, half of the spring, and half of the autumn before. So you had this long, almost like depression time when it is very early dark outside and you really want to enjoy the time, but you don't have the sun. So why am I supposed to read about some, I don't know, heroes of the 15th century? I want to read something that can excite my brain, right? So I as well. We were having actually a discussion in our book club, which we had over the lockdown. I don't know, maybe 12 weekly session. And we were discussing what kind of the literature do you prefer, and I found myself a fan of a postmodern literature because this defragmentation that it praises allows you to read from any page up to any page without any kind of structure or plot or following who said what, because there is the beautiful plays of the words, of the syntax, of the text, and you can enjoy any paragraph after any paragraph. So basically, it doesn't really matter if you forget your bookmark, if you forget which page you are at. And for me, that's always been a one of the best summer readings, because I don't want to keep that in my mind. So the same thing with the podcast. If you actually found, I don't know, 5-10 podcasters that you really like, you like their energy, emotions, connected emotionally maybe, and you like the topics, you don't really care if this is episode 5, 7, or 15.
You can start anywhere.
Exactly. So therefore, you can try to listen to the episodes you like instead of their numerical, I don't know, number.
Yeah, instead of going in order, instead of following the logic that someone, an author, thought of, you're free to choose. You are the author of your own reading or listening.
That's why I always loved summer poems. You know, because you can read 15 lines or 50 lines and then go for a swim and think about some kind of the images of the characters, of the feelings, of the emotions, rather than having the facts, opinions, and so on.
Yeah, there is a thing that keeps us very often away from, or takes us away from doing this and from following this smart advice we're giving here. I'm trying to apply it to myself. And what I ask myself is, why are we often into usefulness instead of just enjoying? Yeah, you choose a book, I choose a book, and I ask myself, is it useful? Is it something I can get some use from? Instead of asking, am I going to enjoy it? Does it sparkle bright emotions in me? Does it sparkle actually joy, happiness, all the positive kinds of things, and not only usefulness, and not usefulness at all?
That's a good question, because we're always thinking about how to spend your time productively and how to get more. So this is, I guess, a kind of a FOMO, fear of missing out. And when you come back to school and everybody says, oh, I read 12 books, or here is my list of which, my summer list, and this is how many books I checked. So then there is always this shame we were talking about, study shame, or like, oh, I didn't read that many books. But then we do not somehow say that, but I enjoyed the summer, but I enjoyed the sea, but I enjoyed talking to my friends, I don't know, seeing the sunsets, the sunrises, enjoying the larks singing in the forest, or I don't know, going to swim nude in the night. I don't know. What are you going to remember? The book that you read during the one of the summers, or those emotions? Maybe both, but maybe, like, the idea is we really want to grasp as much as we can. So we want to read useful book in a foreign language that we can try and write something in our social media about, to show off that I read this, and this. Yeah, but it's always nice just to enjoy it quietly, nicely, without shouting out, I guess.
Yeah, true. Then, if you mentioned the social media, for example, yeah, so this is also a kind of reading. Like you scroll the feed and you think you're missing out on something more useful and important, and you shame yourself, etc.
Not
And no, not you. I mean you impersonal. Sorry. One scrolls the feed and thinks they're missing out on something important, on something useful, on something that they're supposed to be doing, and they're scrolling the feed instead. But one tip that I also give my students is change the options of your feed. Subscribe to people who write things you would be willing to read when you scroll the feed. Unsubscribe from those who do not sparkle your joy, let's say this. Follow people who write in the language you're learning, could be another tip. So then you're just enjoying your time, you're on holiday, it's your habit to scroll the feed, okay, but meanwhile you read something in the language you're learning, you practice your reading skills, then someone recommends a song, a video, a book, a podcast, whatever, shares a playlist. So you can start there and add these things to your holiday routines or to your holiday activities and just enjoy, be in this flow of having great time. Follow somebody else's advice on what to do, what to read, what to listen to, and be in the process, in the flow of doing enjoyable things. Then you can get back to people who recommended something to you. If you did this, if you followed their advice, you can write back to them, thank them for their tips. You can practice your writing again in the language you're learning. Why not? And it's nothing like writing an essay, structuring it, etc. Just write a short note. Just write a short message. Just comment on somebody else's advice or post. And look, then you've read something in the language you're learning. You've listened to something
in the language you're learning. And actually, you're practicing all the necessary skills while learning it without having the burden of, oh, I need to have to learn something today. As well, you know what? That's a very good thing that I normally recommend as well, to write fantastic notes or commentaries. Just try to think, not to write, oh, what a good thought or well done. Try to write like 3 sentences more and try to pick up the phrases that you read, or just from the article that you've read, try to paraphrase something or use a little summary and then adding up your opinion. That would be like what, 2 paragraphs? Okay, that's not a Twitter thing, but I don't know, in Facebook and Telegram you can always do this. But try to show off a bit. In those 3 sentences, you can use 3 idioms, 2 phrasal verbs, 1 linking word, and already be the I don't know, the hottest thing on the beach, you know, just like, and then close your I don't know, social media and go swimming with this feeling, oh my god, I did it. Yeah, I think that's something really good. I can actually build on this. I have different media for different content. So I normally use LinkedIn for professional context and professional development groups. I have so many groups there that I read the feed, and in my understanding, my LinkedIn feed is much more interesting professionally, from content-wise, you know, than Facebook. Facebook is much more media and opinions because I follow a lot of the people in politics and psychology and education, but they're much more on a personal level of who I look up to or who I would love to follow the updates and news. All the reading stuff I have on Telegram. And this is very nice thing because I normally open it up only when I want to switch everything else off. So basically, before the lockdown, the most frequent time when I opened the Telegram was the airplane, airport, or bus. So basically, when I want to read something and I have the time to enjoy reading, to enjoy what's new, because I'm only subscribed there for interesting stuff that I don't need to read daily, and I not shame myself that there are 38 posts unread. It's okay. That means that I'm prepared for anywhere I go. I have at least 48 posts unread to enjoy catching up with. So that is something that I don't normally add to the Telegram channel, the people who I need to be updated about.
Yeah, and then you guarantee yourself the pleasure of reading. Again, the pleasure, the enjoyment.
All the joy of the reading wherever you are, even when your Wi-Fi is out or mobile data is out. And that's amazing about the Telegram because they are normally not that short messages, and they are built up in the channels, so I can stay as much focused into this specific channel as I want, even without the data connection.
That sounds cool. I've never thought about that, but really being prepared, having something in stock that you can later use when you're traveling, when you don't have a good connection or any connection at all, that I might have on the way from Dessau to Berlin, because it's a 2-hour ride with no connection mostly. 2 hours to the airport, 1.5 hours to the city center, 2 hours to the airport, almost no connection for 1.5 hours. And so it's a perfect time to read something that you have in stock, and just enjoy the read.
As well, to have something in stock, what we can think of. We normally have our subscriptions, right? And I have maybe 10 PDF books on my Google Drive that I can click being available offline. And when I'm going to the holiday or something, and they know that I maybe just got bored with having nothing to read, and I always have it in my reading list. But sometimes reading is not the easiest thing. For example, when it's getting darker, or in the airplane, when they switch off the lights, I hate reading without enough light. And I most probably would go to the audio thing. And I know that there are a lot of interesting audio summaries of the books, like Blinkist is doing. So they are having 10 minutes of the overview of the whole book. And I know that a lot of people are using this just to get to know what's the buzz, and still to take the understanding if I want to read this book or not. A very interesting thing about business books and this Blinkist thing, that a lot of people are saying, how many business books have you read over this year? But the question is that most business books, they actually contain a lot of extra material that could be very easily condensed into, 5 pages. In my understanding, you actually write 5 pages of the summary, Then you show it to the publisher, and then the publisher says, okay, but I cannot sell 5 pages, make 300.
I need 300 pages, exactly. And this is the impression that I usually have when I listen to business books or marketing books, but when I listen to something of the kind and I've got the impression of having heard this already, and then I start paying extra attention, it turns out, yes, I've heard this already, because actually it's all about the same and different covers and different colors and different nuance, but it's all the same. And there are actually 5 to 10 key points that can be easily summarized.
So therefore, I think it's a nice idea to change reading 100 business books per year, a challenge or something, or 30 books, whatever you choose, into getting acquainted with 100 books, and then read those 5 that you found the most interesting down with the pencil, with I don't know, summarizing, with discussion. Go to a discussion club for this book, or create a group, or I've read this book, who wants to discuss, and so on. I think for business people, that would be a much better advice, to know what's on the market, what the ideas are, and what the implications might be, and to be able to talk about it. And so what's your impression on that book? Have you read it? Oh, I got it through and I understood that idea. That was enough for me to think about it.
And that's how we can practice, or how people can practice speaking skills on holiday, having read or having been acquainted with a list to read, to be read, must read something. Go and share, communicate with people, talk to people. If you have read somewhere where you can meet people who share your interests in another language, you can also organize a discussion and practice your speaking skills, discussing things that are of your interest for work, because you can never completely take these things out of sight, out of mind. Now, if you are involved into your working things anyway, you want to relax, but then, as we usually say, what you take with you is you. And so you're taking yourself on holiday with all your interests, with all your engagement, with all your passion to your work that you will then get back to. But in a more relaxed way, you can discuss this stuff with other people who are interested in similar things, and practice your speaking.
Yeah, totally agree. And when we're talking about, summer readings or summer listenings, I think that it's really nice to do some digital detox. For me, it works. One of the best ways to switch between the tiredness and being resourceful. So I can say that I do enjoy the the noises of the nature, the birds flying, and so on. But as well, I think it's a nice picture of a person, lying on the beach and on the under the tree or something, and not only scrolling something out, but also just having the headset, or just those little
Earbuds.
and just put your mobile phone into the bag, because it is black, it attracts a lot of sun, it gets heated, it gets too warm, the sand again, it can go to your precious camera. You don't need this. If you have the wireless earbuds, whatever, you can put your precious phone for 45 minutes, for 1 hour, into your bag and listen to the podcast while putting the better side of your beautiful body under the sunbeams, turning around just like, skewers.
Funny you mentioned 45 minutes because it's exactly the length of our podcast episodes.
Which I find the most interesting thing, because it's not 1 hour long and it's not too short, not to go deep into the topic and to be, over. Actually, yesterday I had a very interesting commentary about our podcast. The one says, "Oh, I've read the titles of your podcast and it's not going to be the light listening." So why do you think so? Because it doesn't seem like 5 best ways to do that, 9 best hints to do this, 10 tops something. So it's not flashy, it's not marketing style. So I already expect to have a specific time when I can enjoy it. So that's something that I want our podcast to have an impression or feeling, waiting for the next podcast to enjoy.
Marvelous. Actually, the reason why I create these playlists of podcasts that I listen to, podcasts that reflect my sphere of interest, and I do that weekly. I put podcasts on the playlist, also waiting for the good time to listen. I go jogging, as you might know. I repeat it on each and every episode. I go on almost daily walks. And sometimes I like just to listen to the birds sing. Other times, I think this is the time when I'm ready to listen to that playlist I've chosen. I've selected exactly to enjoy this while I'm walking. And this is something you can treat yourself with. Playlists of music, playlists of podcasts, audiobooks in stock. Let your eyes relax in summer. Treat your ears with something beautiful and useful and enjoyable.
If you wish.
Live and learn.
Learn and live.
Curious about what we discuss next? Join us at facebook.com/Live and Learn podcast.